All right, we're live. I'll be running the meeting today, so if anyone has anything specific on any of the sections, I'm pretty clueless on most of this, and I'm just gonna do my best here. So yeah, today is July 7th, and yeah, so general announcements. We have a free Calabox beta, or Calabox has a free beta out now, and you can set up a local environment easily, or so I hear. And you can run all sorts of cool systems on it, like Backdrop. You can donate to Backdrop CMS, and you can get a thank you Dragon T-shirt and or a hoodie. So check that out on our website, backdropcms.org. There are free PHP Storm licenses for any Contrib developers. If you want to become a Contrib developer, go ahead and contact info@backdropcms. Oh no, I think we have a form for that. But if you would like a PHP license, you contact info@backdropcms.org. So notable things, I don't know if this was brought up in the last meeting, but there's an interesting article from eworldproblems.mbainton.com bringing up some potential issues for how we could make Backdrop more affordable, and maybe some gaps that we have. So they have a note in here, how can we work harder to achieve some or all of these goals. I haven't actually read it yet, but it looks really interesting. So going to have to do that after the meeting. Updates for the PMC, unlikely. I don't have any, and Jen and Nate are in Europe, so I'm going to take that as a no. And I don't remember who all's on the PM. Anyone else here have any updates? Who's on the PMC? Okay, I'll take that as a no. And let's see. So community growth. Looks like Klonos could handle this if he was here, but he is not. And I don't know how to check the total number of contributors or projects, but according to this document, we have 285 total projects, 198 projects with official releases, 293 releases on backdropcms.org, 54 total Backdrop contrib authors. Oh, this is the developer meeting. The design meeting I didn't see on my calendar, so I didn't do anything with it. Sorry. Responding some chat there. So yeah, and then 286 total user accounts on backdropcms.org, and those figures may be out of date. Infrastructure tasks. Gore, did you want to take this section or part of it?
Sure, no problem. Okay, infrastructure. Recently we started to use NCI for testings, and Travis is still on. We're doing testing both on Travis and NCI. As usually, how Nate says, NCI is pretty stable for now, and we just keep testing it. There is less random fails happen since we started to use NCI, but still we have issue number 1478 for random issues, random test failures to handle them. We are tracking them down and trying to figure out why they happen. What else? Recently, the NCI gets updated with, wait a second, where is my notes? Updated for UI, and we have a feature to restart pull request, so there is no more need to close down your pull request and open it again to restart test in the case if we have a random test file. So you just go on the NCI, log in with your GitHub account, and as a PR author, you can click a button restart and test will be restarted. What else on this topic we have? Okay, I have a personal plans to improve QI server setup to make it less complicated and more stable, because we do have issue, I don't remember issue number, when we have a failure to set up a QI website for pull request. And also there is the issue when we close and open it again, there is some failure happen. So it should improve that part. Also, on the infrastructure topic, I would love to say that we have issue with the project packager right now when somebody release a new contrib module. It's not working properly right now, and we still need to fix that one. Also, I want to add that I have issue number 1992, and it's related to security improvement. So I'm proposing to add MD5s to each project. When we release a project, I propose to do MD5 and other checksums. Also, recently GitHub released PGP signature for committers, so I highly recommend to everybody to check it out to make sure that every commit gets signed by PGP, and then you have a verified signature on your commit, which is enhanced security for us. Extra plans for contrib testing. So there is a plans to do a backdrop contrib test, issue number 1967. So if you're interested with it, check this issue and add your ideas or notes. Your feedback are welcome. Also, I have two issues to improve project release process for core and contrib as well. It's issues number 1964 and 1987. It's pretty much all what I can tell about infrastructure testing and releasing right now. Back to you.
Oh, thanks, Gort. I think I totally goofed up. Actually, I know I did. Um, this is actually supposed to be the design meeting, and I only saw one meeting on my calendar. So I think we might redo that infrastructure part in 45 minutes, and maybe Andy and I can talk about design stuff for the next however long that takes.
It's completely okay with me. Yes.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem, no
I
problem.
got mixed up. All right, thank you. You can stick around if you want, but I think I'm gonna switch to the design meeting. Ooh.
Yeah,
All
let's
right.
do design meeting. I can listen while coding.
Sure. Cool. All right. Let me get the right documentation then. If I stop the recording, I'm gonna lose it. So we'll just do it live. Oops, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Okay, design agenda. Cool. So, flagship website. So, backdropcms.org. We have some design needs for layout listing page, layout project pages, and a forum, which is something we've been talking about for a while. I don't know if we have the technical specifications for what we want or not, which would be important for the design. But that's what's marked as needed for now. And then design review needed. We have a number of tasks here, links to GitHub issues. So we have blog and news section, event listing, and service provider listing, and showcase section. So those will be great to get up. I know those are some things we've been talking about for a long time. I will poke my head in on that stuff later. So backdrop marking design needed. Business cards for the PMC or whoever. We want some designs for that, and there were some requirements around that. Where it's more kind of a generic handout that happens to be business card-y is what it sounded like. Or at least that was one of the needs. I don't know if the PMC versions would actually have names on them or what. So looking for something like that. Also looking for sticker design, something that works with the Apple logo on the back of laptops. So if anyone has a fun idea of how to use drop with the Apple logo, that would be very cool. Background images for Facebook, Twitter, etc. We're still kind of looking for something for that. And then there's other marketing issues on GitHub. There's a tag you can follow, or not tag, label. That's what they call them. So backdrop the product. 1.5 is scheduled for September 15th. We're working on getting the new front-end theme in there. So for that, I've been waiting for some feedback from Nate as to what he thinks of what we have so far. And then I've been wanting to work on a couple related features, color module support or something similar, and responsive menus were the two things that I wanted to get in and integrate with the default theme. And yeah, I can bring those up in a little bit. So those will be add-ons, but as far as what we have right now, I think it could go as is. I think it's solid, but I would prefer if it went with those two features. Default front page layout. So front-end theme was issue 1361, default front page layout. So we want to have something that's a little cooler than what has been the default, which is much like the Drupal default. It's just kind of that generic node listing thing. So there's an issue for that, 1042. Responsive navigation, that's the ticket I was referring to. It's 1457. So I need some backend developer help with that. There's a lot of config and settings kind of stuff that just gives me a headache, and I feel like it'd be a lot easier for someone else to step in and work with that stuff than for me to try and sort it out. So yeah, I think I'm kind of blocked at this point. I did a lot of work on the JavaScript for that, which is very abstract. So I'm using the same JavaScript for responsive tabs as I will use on the responsive menu. And then each of them will have a little bit of JavaScript that's laid on top of that, but the kind of sensing when something doesn't fit and some of the generic behaviors handled in one abstract file that people could use for their own stuff, which should be pretty cool. So project browser design review, so issue 1826. I don't know that it's ever gotten formal design, but it had a pretty decent, standard add many look, so it might be good to get some design chops in there too. The layout UI, so there's a lot of issues around how can we make that look nicer. Maybe not GitHub issues, but feedback from people. And that's issue number 345. And then there's some other things lying around with the UX tag. I tried to do a sweep of those a couple of months back and at least give feedback if in case anyone can actually tackle the development. But there's you can look at all the UX issues with the link here, and I believe there's a label you can follow. Bigger picture, human interface guidelines and documentation. So we've been looking for this for a while, and there was some effort around it early on. I actually have an update on this. I went to a Pattern Lab all-day session at Web Design Day not too long ago, last week, I think. And the next version of Pattern Lab, or the current now, it just came out this past week, looks really good for a generation tool to kind of actually pump out the docs and give us something that is easy to update, can tie into Backdrop, so that we're not maintaining duplicate code too much. I mean, there's going to be some because PHP template isn't supported by Pattern Lab, but I think CSS and JavaScript we can do something so that we don't need to duplicate that. But then Pattern Lab can hold the documentation and display it nicely, and it just needs README files and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be a good fit. and I think it's going to be a tool that I want to use more in the future. So um, at some point, I think I'm going to start working on that, and I'm going to use Pattern Lab to build it. So that is all the main updates. Yeah, are there any other things that we need to bring up, talk about? Haha, Safari. Yeah. Do you have the issue number for that offhand? Um, Safari's a piece of junk. Oh, and I can't edit this document, unfortunately. So Safari, um, yeah, Safari does not actually support Flexbox, or it doesn't have a good implementation. I should say that. So when I think we originally built the Safari layouts, sorry, Gore. As a front-end developer, it's constantly giving me headaches. Um, when we originally built it, El Capitan wasn't out, I think, when we were working on backdrop layouts using Flexbox. And so when I wrote the feature detection for whether or not we should use Flexbox CSS or Float CSS, I wrote it based on what is now the previous version of Safari. The new version reports back that it supports Flexbox and everything's a-okay, but it's not at all. It still has the same crap bugs, and Flexbox layouts are consistently not working the way they should, and it makes no sense. Like, you'll look at something and it'll be like, okay, I'm 50 pixels wide and I'm 100 pixels wide and the total area is 150 pixels, but it's like, oh, this doesn't fit, even though 100 plus 50 is 150. Total widths add up to the parent, should fit. Just doesn't, and it sends it to the next line. So super annoying. So I have a fix out there. There's a couple fixes. One is to reduce all the widths of the columns by a tiny bit so that there's an extra pixel and they won't wrap, which means that you're going to have up to 12 extra pixels ish on the right side, which is dumb, and I don't like that. I mean, it's a good temporary fix, but like that's not I do not want that long term at all. The other fix I put in, and I'm not sure I'm all that happy with it, and I'm totally open if somebody else has a better fix. I'm I'm sniffing the user agent and forcing the float CSS if it's Safari. So just because I couldn't figure out a way to make the feature detection for Flexbox more strict so that the new Safari doesn't pass it, because it is passing everything. It is saying that, oh, I have these features, don't worry about it, even though they're garbage. So yeah, that's where that's at right now. There's a PR out with both fixes, the CSS fix and the JavaScript fix, where we're browser user agent sniffing. And I tested it. It's the user agent sniffing is only catching, it's catching Safari, not Chrome, because Chrome will also report that it's WebKit, even though it's not, because user agents are terrible, and I hate using them. So, yep, that's that issue. Let me see if I'll find that pull request real quick. Of course, I can't link to it, unfortunately. Oh, it didn't pass the test. Yep. So it's pull request 1456 on the backdrop project is my JavaScript fix, and it's related to issue 1985. Yeah. Uh, Andy asked Blink if it's using. Yeah, it's using a different engine now, but the user agent still has Safari in it because user agent strings. There's no like good reason. It's really dumb. Yeah, I think that's it. Anything else anyone can think of? Okay. Well, I need to go make another hangout for the next meeting. Thanks for coming, guys. Talk to you in a little bit. Bye.